Hi, I'm Danny Butler, and this week we're going to be looking at the new Vertigo RS, which is a fantastic answer after we did the last video, and if you haven't seen that yet, check it out. This is TrialTube. Today, I've been very lucky enough that the weekend I actually caught up at a trial with Camio Moto's Richard Timpley, who got out of the van a Vertigo RS. Now, right now in the country, there's not many of these. There's 4. This one's Richard Timpley's. He'll be riding that in Scotland. There's also Sam Yeoman's. He's got one. Alfie Lampkin's got a 125 that you'll see him at the Trial 3 right now. And of course, Dougie Lampkin. Now, there's a few new parts to this bike that we're just going to run over very quickly. It is a thoroughbred, this one. The last R model, I feel, my JBR, lacked in a few areas of bling. And when you're buying a bike this expensive, you don't want it to lack any bling anywhere. There are going to be 2 models. This is the RS, there's also the RSR. But it comes with all the nice little finishing touches of the bling on the levers. And it does come with a thicker bash plate and also that water pump guard. But this one's Richard's own bike, and he's decided to put the CSP bash plate on, which I would have probably done anyway, and he's changed the pegs, although it does come with very good pegs. He's changed for the Jitsi ones, which I actually quite like as well. He's also put some Jitsi forks in, so we're going to get a little test on those. They are weighted to Richard, but me and Richard are very similar in weight, as I'm tall and heavy, and he's small and girthy.
Treating you specially, Danny.
So, yeah, what can I say? Brand new parts, there's plenty going on. It's got bold new graphics, which every bike company says every time they release a bike, but nobody cares. And there's also a new frame section here by the pegs to house that new linkage, which we're going to take a really nice close look at, because I've just had a little look at. I've got myself under the hood and checked it out, and she looks well.
Okay, let's party.
Vertigo fan there, just reminding me that it's on. First impressions after that quite tricky section. Obviously the camera never gives justice to the size of things, and that's how I'm going to carry on talking about it. It's the camera's fault, not mine.
No.
Now, the Vertigo RS, the Nitro RS, retailing at $8,750. So there's a bit of a chunk of change if you want to swap over from your existing Vertigo. I'm going to get this out of the way straight away. Will I be looking to invest? Hell yeah. There's a few things on this bike that I've carried over from the last bike that I really like. The fact that it's so planted. Yes, it is heavier than the Sherco, but most things are. But that's not a bad thing, because on some of the climbs just now, the climbs that I'm actually doing, and, you know, watching eyes will attest to this, they're slippery. And the ground is giving away. So when you do put the power down, it's important that you're confident to put the power down. And right now I am confident. The bike feels planted. The new shocker, or the new, shall we say, rear shock and linkage assembly, is solid. You can feel it through your feet. It's creating a more stable feeling in the bike. And I like it. Something I didn't want the bike to lose was the fact that if you own a Vertigo, there was never any sort of slap or shall we say, like loose area in the shocker and in the linkage. And look at this, there still isn't. It's hot, that is. And so I'm happy that they've kept that. But let's have a little closer look at this new linkage. So just checking out that very good looking linkage there that they've now fitted. They've eradicated the jog bones. As you can see, those two billet parts on the bottom of that Riga two-way shocker. Very nicely finished, super accessible as well, I've been told by Rich Timpley at Camio. But he's going to say it's good, isn't he? He wants you to buy a bike. Now, there is a lot to say about the RS and the RSR. The RSR being the, shall we say, more bling version of this bike, or works version of this bike, which comes with a three-way Riga instead of a two-way Riga, Kashima coated tech forks, obviously not Jitsi ADRF ones, I think I said that right, and just a few extra bits and bobs, some carbon accents on the engine. Yeah, it's just a nicer looking machine, I'm going to be honest. Can I afford an RSR? Well, I've been putting in some Saturday shifts for Doug Lampkin, and hopefully they'll pay off. Now, I'm going to get straight to it. This bike rides well. Does it ride as well as my JBR? Yes. Does it feel a little bit better because of the new linkage? Yes. Is that going to make the difference in the chunk of change of having a new one? Depends on your circumstance. If you really like trials, like I do, I haven't got any other hobbies, so screw it. Section! So here at the secret training ground from Camio Moto, aka Richard Timpley's old garden, we've got a nice steep descent leading into some knife edge style rocks with only a little gap, but it gives us a chance to really test the brakes, suspension, balance of the bike and the clutch. Nicely across the gap, turning around, testing those Jitsi forks, which, you know what, for the guys that aren't necessarily a suspension manufacturer, they feel really nice. Super responsive. There is quite a plush feeling from them. Very smooth. And that's what matters when you're moving around this much. So we're going to jump into three good things about your Vertigo RS Nitro works. It's got like quite a lot of names. It seems to be all over the bike. Good thing number one, when you own a Vertigo, although Rich has put the stand back on for the Scottish 6 days and also put a normal stop button instead of a lanyard, when you own a Vertigo, you can pull up at a section and do this because fuel doesn't go all over the place. Ready? Nice one. Good thing number two, believe it or not, Vertigo, since putting the battery in the back of there, I wasn't really sure if it worked that well when I had this system on my JBR, but I think they've done a few tweaks because this bike, as you may notice from the start of this episode, starting second kick cold, starts really easily. So for the people that are like, I can't get my bike started, it starts so easy, it's ridiculous. Also, the kickstart is nice and thick. It's got that little hook at the end there so that your foot doesn't come off when you start it. Ready? That was hard, wasn't it? I didn't even push down. I was like starting a 125 or a 50. And good thing number three, that tidy new linkage. Well, we're going to have a little look at that because the back end feels plush, premium, bloody good. So before we do the bad parts, and I fall over with the bike on my head, so before we get going with the bad parts, a quick word from this week's episode sponsor, Trials Day, where you can go and learn to ride these bad boys a little bit better.
I'm already thinking about it, yeah. Don't put this out to camera, I'm even thinking of buying one and coming again.
Bad point number one, the rear brake lever. It will be getting changed. I don't know why they keep fitting this aluminium brake lever. It's big, it's not very grippy, and if you look at all the factory bikes, everybody keeps changing it. So, I don't know, change it back, Vertigo. I know it looks cool and it's got your logo on, but nobody cares. I'd rather it just be grippy on my boot. Next up, same culprit as the Sherco, the stand. Rich has had to fit this because of the Scottish 6 days, of course, but I hear that this stand works well, but it's a bit of an eyesore. It almost looks like a stabiliser. The amount of times that I've caught this today, and I've been trying my best not to scratch Rich's bike. So, bad part number two, the stand. And bad point number three, there isn't one. I actually stood for a little while discussing what could be the third bad point, and if I had to actually try to find a bad point, that's not fair on the bike. So there's only two really that bothered me. Apart from that, I like the bike. So it's only got two bad things, but three good. Nice work. And before the trials world loses its mind and tells me that the bad part is the price, you've got to remember that this is the race version of the bike. It's not the entry-level version of the bike, and they've given you two options. You can either spend quite a lot of money or an enormous amount of money, but the choice is yours. It is not theirs. You could also buy the works version, again, and I'm very sure you could buy one second hand, because I've actually got a JBR for sale, so if anybody's interested. Thank you for watching TrialTube. Once again, I can only thank people for liking, sharing and subscribing. Keep doing it as much as you can. It's really helping the channel. You'll be surprised who contacts me and thanks me for making these videos. There's no one more surprised than me that when a video does well, so I really do appreciate it. Thank you to Camio Moto for borrowing us this one of 4 in the UK RS Vertigos. Now, there's a few things for me personally that I like about this bike. No bike sounds like a nitro. No bike takes off like one. And I just like the fact that it's called a nitro. Isn't that dead cool? But as always, I've tried to be as fair as I can be. Not biased because, well, I'm not really bothered. I get to try loads of bikes, which is a really nice thing to be able to do nowadays, and I'm super, super appreciative. And obviously this one isn't mine, but I do own one of these, so this was an easy test to do. There have been improvements, clear improvements, but I've been very honest about them. I don't want people to think that because I ride a Vertigo and I like them, that I've been any less subjective than I normally would be. If anything, I've been probably a little bit harsh on this bike because I didn't want people to think I was biased, because I'm not. But as always, I'll see you next time, because trust me, next time's TrialTube will be interesting, so stay tuned. Just got to fire it up now in this awkward position, because Vertigos don't start, right? Yeah, right. Oh yes, Richard.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like